You are not perfect, and that's okay. And that's something that is okay. And I know that's a bit of a weird intro, maybe jumping in quite fast with, might even found it offensive. I don't know, but this is something I really want to talk about today. Sort of on the topic of how we're not perfect as people, and to sort of talk about something that I think is growing really in big amounts in sort of our society, and especially people my age, I feel like, or the younger generation. But it's something that's prevalent in all generations, really, in all ages, and something that's been very prevalent for a long time, and very much in human nature anyway. And that is on the fact that having this perfectionist mindset, and I think it's something that a lot of people suffer with and a lot of people go through. But to sort of start the discussion and give you a bit of context behind some of the things I'm going to talk about, go initially tell you a bit about myself. And actually, I'm the youngest of my family. I've got two brothers that are older than me. And very much I've always loved music, just like most people, not something so different about me. I love music, very unique. But no, it's been something I've always loved, and very much I've always loved things like piano and guitar, and I've always, like most, I've really wanted to learn an instrument, because I just think it is so cool and just a really interesting thing to learn and to do. And it's very cool. I mean, come on. To be able to go up to people and let them know that you can play an instrument, I think it's a really cool thing to be able to say. So it's been very much something that I've taken a big interest to. And like I said, I'm the youngest in my family, so very much, my parents might have taken the sort of approach with my first brother, my oldest brother. He's 7 years older than me, and I'm sure, from the sort of the stories I've heard from them, your first kids, as a parent, you probably try to see if they might have any hidden talents. You might actually try to push them towards doing like some music stuff. Maybe they can learn an instrument. And I think very much they found right away that, my brothers don't really have any sort of musical talent. Not to be horrible, but never been something that they've been all too big on. And they'll totally agree with me, and they would happily say that as well. But I think because I had my two brothers before me, and my other brother, who's closer to age than me, is still 5 years older than me. So I was a bit later to them, a lot later to them, in that sense, where my parents has already tried that stuff out, and they had already seen that maybe it wasn't something that worked all too well. My brothers didn't really learn all too much, and I think that's kind of an approach my parents took on quite a few things sometimes. Not in where they didn't push me or didn't let me try things I wanted to try. That's not for sure. My parents were very great parents, and really helped me to go along and try things that I wanted to do. But in general, there were definitely a lot less enthusiastic when I was saying things like, I want to learn an instrument, because I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, we already heard this from his brothers, and we already can kind of see how this is going to end up. He's going to try it for a week, and then he's going to give up, and then we would have spent some money on it already, and that's going to be the issue there. But what actually happened then was my parents were never like, nah, we're not going to get you any sort of keyboard or something, if you want to look into that, you can save up and try it and see if it's something that works for you. But some of my parents were never like, yeah, we're not going to try all too much on that. But my older brother, he had this little keyboard, and I remember this cheap little shit thing. It was a Casio keyboard. I remember it was green, and a full size piano or like keyboard has 88 keys on it, but this little keyboard had, I think, maybe 20, maybe maximum 30, so it's this tiny little thing that really didn't have all too much to it, and it was the keys were much smaller than they usually are on like a full-size piano or keyboard, so it really was just this shit little tiny thing that was quite obviously aimed at kids, just to mess about with. But my brother knew, he knew a couple very, very simple songs, very, very simple songs, but one of them in general that I really remember was, he learned Mary Has a Little Lamb on it. And I remember looking at this Mary Has a Little Lamb song that he learned, and he'd play it to me, and I remember thinking, wow, that's so cool, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. And I just remember finding it so interesting that, you know, I asked my brother, come on, teach me how to play it. And eventually he, you know, I think he taught me a little bit, or he might have pointed out the keys, and I kind of went off and learned it myself. But I remember learning that. And then I remember going around and showing people and acting like I could now play piano when I definitely couldn't. And going around with this little shitty keyboard. But what it actually did was it put a lot of enthusiasm into me and got me very excited. I'm very like motivated around it. You know, I was only like maybe 7 or 8 at the time, maybe even slightly younger. And I remember thinking, wow, I really want to see if I could learn some more and learn something else. So I loaded up YouTube, and you know those, I don't know if you've ever gone to try and learn a bit of piano things before, but you've got these videos where there's like a keyboard at the bottom, and then all the keys are sort of floating down to each of the key that's going to get pressed. And so I sort of used to go on these videos where it would show you what was getting played to be able to learn the song, and I would learn the song in the keys that they were put. And I'd learn these very basic songs. You know, I was only using one hand. I was using my index finger only and just like tapping down on each one. But the way I was learning was, I think because I was younger, I didn't really think to actually look up like a proper tutorial and like a step-by-step to learn piano. I more just kind of looked up songs I liked, found a really, really fucking easy version of it. And then I just learned how to play that. And that's very much how I learned for a while. And then eventually I just kind of push myself a bit, and I just pick a song that's a bit harder and try and learn that. And in general, it actually started working. I actually started to learn a good couple songs. And I remember being really, really proud of myself. And what actually came out of that was, I remember one of the ones that was quite a turning point for me, where I actually started to learn a bit of two hands, was I remember I learned the Jurassic Park theme tune. And I remember it was still this really basic two hands one, but I was playing two hands. And I remember going, oh my God, I'm playing two hands on piano right now. And I remember being so impressed with myself and so happy that I showed my parents. And I remember my parents seeing it and listening to some of the early songs that I was learning, and they actually went to me and they went, "Oh, wow, you're actually learning quite a bit. You know, you're actually doing a good job of this. Like wow, this is really cool." And I think that's when they sort of started to actually listen to me seriously when I would say that I wanted to learn a bit more. And you know, I carried on this little keyboard, and eventually I actually asked for Christmas once to see if I could get an actual full-size keyboard. I still got quite this cheap thing. It very much sounded like a keyboard and not a piano. It was very electronic sounding. But I remember being so happy because I finally had a full-size keyboard with actual full-size keys, and I could learn songs. And I remember I used to pick up different songs, and I was learning, and I was really getting along really well, and actually starting to consider myself as a piano player. And actually now, as we get to current day, it's been a good few years of playing now, where I've got an actual full-fledged digital piano downstairs in my living room. I can play lots of different songs. One thing to mention is I absolutely love this guy called Bo Burnham. You might have heard of him. He's a comedian sort of singer. So he does like comedy songs and that sort of thing. Really funny guy. I love his songs. Really good songs. If you haven't heard of him before, or maybe heard of him but haven't watched any of his stuff, I honestly recommend go on Netflix. They've got his special called What's, and it's so good. It is a really good, and it is a great introduction to Bo Burnham. It's the first thing I ever saw on Bo Burnham. Now I fucking watch everything of his, and I absolutely love it. But what he does is he plays on piano, and they're all his own songs and comedy songs, and it was something that I took a really big interest in. I was actually like, maybe I could learn some of his songs. And I actually ended up learning some of his songs, and I knew that I knew a lot of the words to it, and I'd actually try and start singing along with it on my piano. And then I started to realise that I've not got the most amazing voice ever, that's for sure. But I really don't have too bad of a voice for it just being a hobby and being something to just play. I'm not looking to do anything professionally or start a singing career. So I thought I could sing quite well for what what I was trying to get out of it. And I showed my parents, and they actually went, "Oh wow, this is actually really good." And my dad always tells me how much he loves it, so does my mum as well. And I actually ended up quite a while ago. There's this guy at my work. Really lovely guy. He's been playing guitar for a long time, and he's self-taught just like me. And what he actually wanted to do was he wanted to do a gig for us for our work. And so what we actually did, we had this. He had actually done a gig for us before, very much in the past. But he came to do this gig where we actually booked out a whole sort of hall for it. And it was really cool. But what I was actually able to do was do an opening song on it, which was my first time sort of properly playing in front of a lot of people, and was a really good chance for me to kind of go a bit further and be able to play the songs that I've learned to people. And what I'm trying to get out of this is not to brag that I can now play piano or do some side, more just to talk about how I've gone quite far with piano, and I think that stems a lot from actually just experimenting and not caring about doing things wrong. To actually go a bit further into that, I know very much, like I said earlier on, I didn't follow like step-by-step videos. I just went and looked up songs I like and just tried to do them. And they didn't tell you what fingers to use where or how to position your hand or anything. So I definitely built some bad habits up initially. But what I found is that I very much did that because I was younger. And because I was very much not caring as much and a lot younger, and not needing to feel like I had to do the thing perfectly or amazingly, and I just wanted to do it my own way, that I actually ended up really enjoying it and actually learning it, because I had to experiment, I had to fail at stuff and go, okay, that didn't work, let's try this. And what I actually found overall was I've gone really far with it, like I said. But now what I found with things I want to learn now is I take a very different approach. And I don't think it's an approach that works as well. And it's something that I'm trying to work on. And it's very much why I wanted to make this video today. And I think what it came out of is, obviously, like I said, I've been learning piano for a while, but I've always taken a really big liking to guitar as well. And I think guitar is quite a cool instrument for the sense that it's much better for portability. You can actually just bring a guitar to something. You can't bring a fucking piano. I can't just carry a fucking piano somewhere. Like, that's not happening. It's a lot more difficult for you to do that. But, if you just want to do a quick guitar thing, you can just bring along a guitar and do that. And so I was like, you know what? I really want to pick up guitar. And it was something I started to learn. And something I really wanted to learn outside of piano. And something I've been working on since. But I think what I initially did, now being a bit older trying it, is I no longer had that sort of that approach where I didn't care anymore. I think, because as you grow older, you do build up a bit of those insecurities. You no longer have that like child-esque feel to yourself where you just do what you want to do without thinking about anything. I think we are a lot more affected by what people think as we grow up. And it's not even necessarily what people think, but I think because of that's how things are on you and you feel like you have those expectations for other people. Sorry about that. My girlfriend just randomly called me. Very lovely lady. We love the girlfriend. But yeah, kind of going on from what I was saying is that I feel like because we are listening to what people think a bit more often, I think a lot of us gain a bit more of a mindset of thinking, well, we put these higher expectations on ourselves because we think, oh, this is what people expect of us, and this is what we got to do. And I kind of jump into that to what I was actually explaining around guitar to actually make sense of what I'm saying, because right now I just feel like I'm talking fucking gibberish. Is that in the sense that I like I said, wanted to pick up guitar and start learning it, and so instead of doing it kind of the way I did with piano, I went, all right, let's go on YouTube, let's learn this properly. I don't want to build up bad habits. I want to learn it properly, do it by the book, do it officially, properly, learn guitar right. So I looked up some proper step-by-step videos on guitar. They say, all right, you need to learn like tabs, which is a type of like music, a way of writing music for guitar, and reading off it for guitar. I was very much like, yeah, I need to do tabs. I need to learn that. And very much I took this very formulated approach and very to the book. And what you find is on guitar you have to play chords. They're sort of like the basic of all songs. And a lot of songs you'll find, not all obviously, and a lot of songs don't. But to keep it really simple, if you don't know all too much about music and stuff, most sort of basic songs like pop songs run off 4 chords. So you've got 4 chords that kind of play in the background, and they usually play for about 4 beats each. So you have a chord, it'd be chord, boom, 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 then you're on to the next one, and that's kind of how a song kind of plays out on that. And what you find with chords is, initially on guitar, there's some very basic chords that you can learn, and they're quite easy. You've only got to put your fingers pushing down on certain areas on the strings. And you've only got to like push down on one bit, if that kind of makes sense. However, once you start getting a bit further and actually wanting to learn some further songs, you have to learn this type of chord called a bar chord. And what this is, I'll show up just a quick diagram on screen, probably, maybe. Let's see if I can be bothered. It should come up. But what these kind of are is you've got it's usually your index finger that will cover a whole length, all the strings at once, one bit of the guitar. And what this kind of does is it moves kind of all the keys up. The way sort of guitar works is that by changing the length of the string by holding down at a different bit, you're kind of creating that end point wherever you're holding your finger. You create a different sound. And so by having your fingers across all the strings at once, you're bringing all the strings to this same key up high. And then what you do is you've got a few fingers there in front of that finger as well that have to press down on other bits as well. So in turn, I'm making this too complicated because I'm not very good at explaining it myself, because I don't know all too much. However, what you have to do is you have to hold your finger down over all these strings at once while also putting your fingers on some other bits. And it's really difficult. It's really hard. And to get a proper sound out of it, you have to really hold your finger like quite tight down. It feels like, and it's quite difficult. And what I found playing guitar like this was, it was so hard. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I kept going back. I kept trying. And I kept trying to give it a go. But I just kept feeling like I was getting nowhere. And I wasn't learning any songs. I wasn't, doing the things that I wanted to do. I was just in this, like, bit where I just felt like I had to learn this way because it was, like, how you're supposed to. From what I found, I had to learn these exact ways and to play this way. And I was like, I can't get this. It was really putting a downer on me and really upsetting me. And then I sort of took the approach of, let's just let go of all this fucking formula or getting it exact. Maybe, yes, I'll then build up some bad habits because I'm doing it in a weirder way. But what I found out was I gave up on trying to do it formulated. And what I mean by that was I remember there's this one song that I learned really recently, and it was, you had to do this certain bar chord. And you have your main index finger that's hovering, holding all the strings down, and then you have your middle finger on another one, your ring finger on another, and your pinky on another. And it was really difficult to do. But what I was finding was I was getting it all right, but I just couldn't keep my ring finger where it was because I had to stretch it a lot more than the other fingers. And instead of just taking this formulated approach of thinking I have to get it exactly right, can't build up bad habits, I just didn't press down the ring finger. I just went, you know what? Fuck it. Leave it. Let's just take the ring finger off. Let's just play it. And you know what? It didn't sound the exact same, but it sounded really, really close that unless somebody played guitar, they wouldn't fucking realise. And I was playing the song. And what I found was I was then able to learn the rest of the song kind of in this way and not having this perfection mindset and just doing it how I wanted to do and what I could do at the time. And what I did was I felt like I learned the song really well. And I learned the whole song, or at least, maybe a bit of a simplified version of it. But I learned the whole song. And I remember for the first time feeling this amazing feeling of, I learned the song. I learned that song on guitar. I did it. I picked up this song that I've been wanting to do. And it's a song that I really liked. And I was so happy with myself. And what actually came out of that was I gained this newfound love for what I was doing, and I was so proud, and I was going, wow, I can actually learn guitar. And it didn't feel like there was this barrier in front of me anymore. I could actually learn it if I just gave it some more time. And what I actually found out was I started just learning some more songs like that, and enjoying it that way. And maybe I wasn't playing it exactly to how the song was done, but you know what? I wasn't trying to be a fucking professional. I was there just trying to enjoy it, because I think that's how you got to start out with these things. You got to just enjoy them as a hobby, and know that's what it is, and know it's, you know, there's nothing wrong with just wanting to enjoy something. And what I've actually found now was I was able to learn a lot more songs. I was then able to build up a bit more experience, and now I can do some of those bar chords, and I can do them. And you never know, if I kept staying to the way that I was before and staying so formulated, I might have fucking given up. And I might have gone, you know what, this is fucking stupid, this is ridiculous, I can't do this, I'm giving up, guitar's obviously not for me, and then not doing it. Okay, sorry, I got cut off there again. My mum just rocked up to my house and had to pick up something, so I had to quickly jump off. And I felt like I was onto a good flow, so I really didn't want to start again or do this video again. So, but yeah, like I was saying, it's because I didn't take that formulated approach that I actually ended up learning the songs that I wanted to learn, actually getting further with them. And then what it did was it made me actually enjoy it, made me want to keep going. And it made me keep working on things and keep going further with it. And yeah, I think all that came out of it was then, you know, maybe I built up some bad habits, but, you know, I can just work them out. And because I'm not a professional and I'm not trying to be, and I'm not trying to be perfect and just letting myself do it how I want to do, I'm now actually got another new hobby, another instrument that I can kind of play. And a whole new thing that I can do. And now, what it did was it kept me going, and I can do some of those harder chords, and I can do that. So I think it just really came clear to me that it is so important to think about that, and to not be thinking you have to get everything right, you have to be perfect on everything, because it's something that, even if you don't fully think it, it is something that I think everyone kind of experiences a bit. And especially with the internet and with a lot of the expectations that now you see on the internet, you know, where, you know, there's so many topics we can get into. We can get into body image, where, you know, I feel like a lot of guys feel like they have to be really big and muscly to actually get attention from friends, from people, to get respect, you know, to get, you know, girls and stuff like that. You know, I think that's something that a lot of people feel like. And, you know, if people are even slightly overweight, you know, people start to feel really bad about themselves and have a lot of problems and think that all their worth is surrounding that. No, it's the exact same for girls. Obviously, I can't really talk about my experience for myself as a guy, but obviously there's so many problems there and so many expectations. And in general, I just wanted to make a video like it today to just go over it and go, well, look, you just need to let go and stop worrying, and stop feeling like you have to do everything to the book. You have to do it perfect, because what you do have to remember is that you are generally the only one living your life. And why should you take any sort of expectations from other people? I mean, the only sort of expectations that maybe you should take from others is maybe, you know, maybe sort of the expectations of your boss or something at your job, of what you're supposed to be doing, of course, stuff like that. But I mean, in general, like the expectations on things that are your life and are for you to do, like on your body, like on the habits that you have, the things that you do outside of work, and you know, and the things that you enjoy. Why do you want to take expectations or take things from other people and that? Because at the end of the day, you should do what you're going to enjoy. And I think that's what should be your focus in life, is to focus on, you know, trying to make fun out of what you're doing, and trying to just do it in maybe a way that works for you. And in general, taking the approach of experimenting and just, you know what, jumping into something. You know, maybe not taking a formulated approach, but just, you know, giving it a go and just kind of seeing where you can go with it yourself, you know. And I think it applies to so many things. And you'll find that a lot of the people that are trying to teach online and are trying to give you all these steps to things they've done it probably the exact same, where they've had to kind of experiment initially and try out different things. And I think that's just a point I really wanted to bring forward today. It's just to allow yourself that, to drop the ego, and to just, you know, just let yourself maybe not do stuff in the perfect way. Maybe, you know, maybe you realize you've not been to gym all too much. So why don't we get to gym? And to kind of talk on that, I think, you know, a really good example surrounding this perfectionism. I think a lot of people, they might look and go, okay, I want to get to gym. And that's a brilliant thing, obviously. If you can get to gym, that's fantastic for your health. You know, a great thing to be doing. However, what a lot of people do is they'll go, okay, I need to go to gym, so I need to get the perfect workout, the perfect routine. I need to be doing it to the book. I need to be doing it to this and that. This is how I need to do it. So they'll look up a video, and there'll be a video that says they have to do this certain way. Maybe they're doing 3 times a week, so they're doing like more than like 6 times a week. So they're doing like a push-pull leg sort of thing, and they're following it to the book of this exact routine of everything they got to do. And what you find with a lot of people is very much they get burnt out, or they fall out of it really quickly because it's such a rapid change from what they're doing. And maybe if they just took the approach of, you know, initially kind of letting go of the ego and knowing that, you know, maybe you don't have to do everything right away, because then you might actually find that you go there and you end up enjoying something and getting yourself into that. And let's say gym. Why don't you just get up to the gym and you just go? And you just go and, you know, you go to maybe some of the machines and you just do some of the machines. Look at the different muscle groups. Maybe you see you've done one that's for biceps and go, okay, maybe I'll do one that's now for my back. Just get to, like, if you want to get into the gym, just start doing something like that. Just get yourself out there. Just start doing it. Because I think people take this approach now, and I think it's something that I have so many problems with, where I feel like I have to be so prepared for things and I have to get it so perfect. I have to do it in the exact right way. Where instead, if you just went and did it, you know, and be prepared to just, maybe you fuck it up, maybe you do it completely wrong, maybe you waste a whole month on gym and you're not really getting all too far. But maybe now, because you've gone there and actually started experimenting, you actually can get yourself there. You can actually enjoy it a bit more. And now that, you know, you're kind of past that barrier of it feeling like a big change and you're going to gym anyway, now you can start to go, okay, maybe I will try to get a bit more of a routine in or something. Or, you know, or maybe you can even go, because I've been going a few times and I've learned some of the things that I like, I can actually make my own routine. I don't have to be so exact on it. And I think that this example, it applies to so many things in life, and I think it's a really, really key thing to remember, to just, you know, let yourself drop the ego, let yourself, you know, kind of keep going with it, and just experiment and try the things you want to do. And I think that's all I can say for today. You know, first video, not going to go too crazy. I just, you know, it's a thought that I thought about recently, and I think that's very much what this channel is going to be like. I'm just going to kind of have some thoughts that I have across the day. I've got a little notepad on my phone that I've just, whenever I thought of something or had a nice conversation, even just a conversation where I've not actually got real answers or I'm giving advice and just discussing about it. That's very much what my channel is going to be. Very much like this, kind of jumping on a game, having a little chat. And yeah, so if you do want to come to any sort of other videos, there's a video on screen, well, there will be once I got my second video. And yeah, I really appreciate you coming along. And yeah, really thanks for watching. Cheers.